No one wants to be a housing provider in Canada anymore. Builders don't want to build because interest rates and development costs are so high, can't make a profit. Real estate investors don't want to buy rental housing anymore because the tenant gets their way and the landlord has to shut up and eat it.
This is a major problem.
So how did we get in this tight spot? And what can the federal government do to fix this problem? I've got some pretty good ideas. Let's discuss this. Okay, so we're in a housing crisis, and the first thing we need, first and foremost, is more supply. That's not a secret. The only way you bring prices down is to meet the demand by increasing the supply. Therefore, bidding wars will stop. There'll be more options to choose from on the market, less people fighting with each other to get them. That's route number one. Now, the government can put up all these fancy policies and most likely tax, punishing the private investor, punishing the private builder, which is not the way to go around it. The root cause that we need to go to is to bring more supply online. For example, when a tree is dying, we don't fix the leaves. We don't look at the leaves and try and spray stuff on it. No. We go to the soil. We test the soil. What's wrong with the soil? Which is why the tree is dying. Fix the soil, you fix the tree, the leaves look beautiful again. That's how we do it. That's how you fix the housing crisis. But the government is spraying all a bunch of shit, cutting off leaves, trimming shit when they shouldn't be, and that's the real problem. We're not getting ahead. We're just spinning in circles. The government's doing political theater to get votes, but they're not fixing the root problem. They're not fixing the soil. Now, one idea, again, another policy, not fixing the root problem, but a policy that's being suggested that might actually help a little bit is a land value tax. See, the way our taxes work now, for any of you watching this who own a home, we pay property taxes. Now, in that property tax, it's calculated the land value of the land is calculated for the value of the land that your house sits on, but they also tax the house. And as your house appreciates in value every single year, your property taxes go up. But why is that? That house is mine, motherfucker. That house isn't yours. If the house breaks down, I gotta pay for it. If the furnace goes, if the flooring goes, if the kitchen's gotta be replaced, I fix that. Where are you? Why are you taxing me on my house that's just sitting on the land, dude? The size of the land has never changed since I bought the house in 1981. Why are you charging me on the house? And that's what's being proposed. Fuck the charging of the house. Let's just only tax people on the value of the land, which is all that matters. The city is providing the land. That's what I need. That's never changing. So you only tax me on the amount of land that I have. Now, that will bring down property taxes greatly, which will make real estate more affordable. Again, what's the problem right now is housing affordability. See, even with housing prices coming down 20%, 25% in the GTA, you're seeing it all across Canada. House prices are crashing. Number one, they're not crashing. That's pretty much as low as they're going to go. Interest rate cuts are just around the corner. We talk about this all the time on the channel. But even with these prices coming down, 200 grand, 250 grand, 300 grand on the average house, it's still less affordable than it was 2 years ago when house prices were $1 million, but interest rates were 1%. See, even the $750,000 house today with a 6% interest rate is more expensive than the $1 million house with a 1%, 2% interest rate. Housing was more affordable. Even though prices were higher, it was more affordable a couple years ago. See, and that's all buyers care about. Buyers don't care about the price tag of the house they're buying. They care about what's my monthly payment going to be. And if you can reduce property taxes by $100, $200, $300 a month, depending on the house, hey, that's $300 more that a seller can put in their pocket, feed their family, and pay for the necessities of life. And that's what's being proposed, that we should overhaul the entire property tax system and stop this calculating of the value of the brick and mortar house. No. Just charge people on the value of the land. That never changes. They pay the same payment forever. I mean, minus inflation. Inflation goes up every year, 2%, 3%, so that'll increase, but you know what I mean. Now, why this land value tax decision would also be a benefit is that, most importantly, builders would be paying less money to build their houses. So development charges, permits, whatever, the cost of acquiring that land and developing that land will be cheaper for them as well they can pass on cheaper monthly payments to the seller. So it's a win-win for all sectors and should be considered. You know, I just saw an article that came out that said in BC, for example, with like the highest development charges, the highest taxes, if you have like a $1.2 million house, approximately $330,000 of that $1.2 million house the builder is trying to build is taxes to the city, to the province, permits, all these charges, sewer charges, all these things, almost 25 to 30% on average across Canada is fees and taxes, which is truly why we're in the housing crisis that we're in. It's very unattractive for builders to build, especially right now at the time of filming this video, with interest rates being the highest they've been in like 30 years. Buyers aren't really buying right now. Everybody's on the sidelines just waiting for rates to come down, so nobody's buying. And the builders that, if they did buy something, the financing to just hold that land and wait the friggin' 8 to 12 months for the permit to be approved, they're eating financing costs the whole time while they're holding this land, waiting for the fucking city to make their decisions and go, yep, looks good, go ahead and build. Everything takes too long. There's too many fees. Classic liberal government, tax. And this is why we are where we are in a housing crisis, whereas other countries like our friends south of the border in the US aren't, because they've been building this whole time. See, ever since the 80s, Canada's been slowing down on building homes. I don't know why, but they just are. Now that's a way bigger discussion in this video, but there hasn't been nearly enough building going on since the 80s, which is why we're in such a low supply market now. But the US doesn't really have this. Now, I think I actually know why. It's actually pretty easy if you're a capitalist and you look at every angle in a capitalist lens. See, we need incentivization to build homes. And what's the incentivization to build homes in America? Well, depending on the state in which you're building, you have no taxes. So you have no to low taxes. Permits get turned around in a matter of weeks, if not months. They don't cost nearly as much. Building materials are lower. Labor is lower. Capitalism is alive and well, which is why the private sector has stepped up. Joe Blow starts a construction company. He wants to be a builder. Super easy to become a builder. You just become a builder. And you start building homes. People buy it or they don't buy it. The market dictates. Capitalism is at work. Well, in Canada, we got rules and regulations and insane codes, and you got to follow this. And the inspector can't come out until next Thursday, so you're sitting there waiting and waiting. The whole system is sluggish. I can tell you, being a real estate investor who has bought and sold over 150 homes, I got my fair share of permits. More than I can count. Dozens and dozens and dozens of permits. The whole process is sluggish and expensive. It costs so much money. Nothing moves. It's terrible. Now imagine way bigger scale on building hundreds of thousands of homes. It just takes forever and costs too much money. That's what this all comes down to. So if you want to fix the Canadian housing market, number one, you need incentivization. Number two, we need to go back to the roots of true north, strong and free, a capitalist society. But we're edging close to socialism, close to liberalism, way too much. We need to come back to common sense. We need to come back to capitalism. Government, get out of the way. Get your hand out of my pocket. Let the market dictate. Stop putting in rules and policies. Get out of the way. Let the market dictate. Comment below, what do you think? Do you agree? I'll see you in the next video.